Sure, my name's Cathy Oxby. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Africa Green Co. Africa Green Co is working to create a new business model in order to attract more private sector investment to renewable energy generation in sub-Saharan Africa, shifting away from the current model which relies on bilateral arrangements between the developers and the off-takers and creates such dependency on a single off-taker and the off-takers are generally financially weak in the current market, that layers of credit enhancement are required to make the deal bankable. So we're creating a public-private partnership, working closely with the governments and the national utilities to create a credit-worthy intermediary off-taker, which can sit between the private sector developers and the largely public sector off-takers in order to reduce the cost of capital at the project level, which will reduce the electricity tariffs. And that those cheaper tariffs can then flow through to the end users and also help to close the gap currently that's covered by subsidies. It's seen as a stepping stone to a more liberalised liquid electricity market and recognises the existence and increasing liquidity of the regional power pools, which the current model simply doesn't. So it is intended to mobilise significant private sector capital, initially at project level, and then ultimately also at the intermediary. And I think that foreign currency exposure is a key risk for consumers and for utilities and the governments who end up backstopping those liabilities. The way that most projects are financed currently is in hard currency. And so those hard currency funding costs end up being passed through to the end users who end up taking the foreign exchange risk. And they're not the people who should be taking the risk. So the best way to reduce that risk is to fund the projects in local currency. And so through the Green Co structure, through creating a credit-worthy off-taker and reducing the risk profile at project level, then that should make it much easier for local institutional investors to invest in the projects in local currency. And therefore the tariffs that are required to repay that debt in local currency are in local currency, and then that removes the foreign exchange exposure. The same applies whether it's off-grid or on-grid. We need to move towards local currency funding, and I think there's increasing recognition in the international financing community, particularly with the development agencies, that lending in hard currency is just creating more problems for the populations.